president. It doesn't matter. Are we talking about the president or are we talking about the candidate? Are you talking about candidate Trump or are you talking about President Trump? That's two different people to me.
The candidate Trump and the President Trump is two different people?
Two different people.
So you saying, I guess your point would be
because I don't think Obama would sit there and laugh and chuck it up when he know cameras are watching with a known racist. I don't think he would do it. I don't think he would do it. I don't think he would sit there, play buddy, chuck it up with somebody who he really thought was a known racist or Hitler or whatever they say. Like, I don't think he would do that. I just don't think he would do it.
I think he'd do it. I mean,
why? So why would he get a pass? Because
Obama is a former president, so it's the dignified thing to do. You know,
so it's politics again.
It's the politics.
So it's politics. It's politics. So we right back in politics again. So politics.
It's also politics is the reason why Michelle is not.
So politics excuses politics. So politics excuses politics. I'm just looking for the equality in what you're saying. Because Black people, we fight for equality. We fight for equality. We fought for equality. We fought to be able to be in the military, to defend the country that don't even respect us. We fought for that first. We fought to vote for a president that might not even respect us. We fought for that because we wanted the equality. But we are not now giving equal judgment. We're saying, okay, well, that's different. Yeah, he said some racist shit, but I don't believe he a racist. He might have said some racist, but I believe he a racist. Well, I'm not a politician, man. I'm not. You didn't see me out there on the campaign. You didn't see me telling y'all, yo, you should vote for this candidate. You didn't see me out there telling you should vote for this candidate. But I am honored to be performing for the office, for the president of the United States, regardless. Ain't nan another president asked me to perform. Nan. Ain't nobody calling them. Ain't no, I would have performed.
Well, ain't nobody ever asked you to come to a Klan rally either. But, you know
what you mean? Why would I go to a Klan rally? I don't live in a Klan country.
Well, this is a Klan country.
No, this ain't no Klan.
No, this is a Klan country, man.
Where is it?
This is a Klan country.
Where it is?
This is a Klan country because
this guy. I mean, at some point you got to cut the ignorance off. Because
are we talking about the president, or
that's ignorant? That's the height of ignorance. That's where you use the N word. That's just the height of just total ignorance. Just say it for what it is. Somebody offered you a check and you took it. It's as simple as that. It's no argument to be had.
Exactly. And he would have taken the check for anybody.
He would have taken any other candidate. And apparently he would have taken a check from the Grand Wizard of the KKK. And that's just the bottom line. The guy, he sounds like what they do, what mainstream media does, Austin. When something happens in our community, they find the worst articulate person to try and represent us. Nelly represents Nelly.
Mm-hmm.
It's an embarrassment. We're going to talk about that. He's trash. He is complete trash in how he's trying to justify this. First of all, why do you feel if there was nothing wrong with this, then why do you feel you have to come on somebody's show to justify it? Exactly. He's fighting hard to justify him taking part in what that dude Willie called a Klan rally, and that's what it amounted to. Snoop Dogg I felt embarrassed for Snoop Dogg. I felt embarrassed for him. He's up there. Those folks have no clue. They pan the audience, and it's lily white. It's not just white; it's lily white. And he's using the N-word. He's his own DJ. doing it was disgustingly bad.
And they didn't really see most of those folks in the audience looking at Snoop. From what I saw, it didn't really seem as if they could relate to him
They
or
had,
appreciate it.
right.
I mean, a lot of look that I saw, and I would only watch for a few minutes because I was disgusted like you. Was who is this? You know what? And why is he? Why he's here? It was so out of place. And the bottom line is, it boils down to nobody. I mean, entertainers get paid. There may have been some entertainers who were paid to perform at some of the Kamala Harris campaigns or the Joe
Mhm.
Biden campaigns, but it's not just the check; it's the principle of the individual who you were there to perform for. A lot of people are critical of President Obama sitting next to Trump. Uh,
Mhm.
cracking a couple of jokes, whatever Trump was saying. I'm sure that made no sense. But Obama is is a diplomat. Obama is a politician. Obama is part of that five-member former president's club. They were not at a Klan rally. They were not at one of Trump's rally last night at the Capitol. What's it called? Capitol Arena. That was a funeral for the former president of the United States. You won't see Barack Obama at beyond his performer duty today. You won't see him hanging around at the White House. This guy Nelly and Snoop, if given the opportunity, they would spend the night in the White House. That sends a completely different signal.
I think too, as I said, in Nelly's case, I think it's strictly about the check. Soldier Boy's case, strictly about the check. Um, Snoop Dogg and Rick Ross might be a little different, but I still think that it comes down to, in their case, while it might not be about needing some money right now, it's about protecting that check that they get
Hmm.
already.
Hmm.
That's what I think
Hmm.
that was about. But also, it led me to wonder, how did Donald Trump decide to pick these particular black folks? How did he how did he come to that conclusion that Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, Soldier Boy, Nelly, how did he come up with that?
Just go to the dictionary and look up dumb black rappers.
Is that how it happened?
Yeah, just that simple. No, seriously, nothing complicated. I mean, I would imagine with some of these folk, he's had a relationship, I know, with Snoop that's gone back for a long time. Some of the others I don't know, but what is surprising is just a few
Still
years
fear
ago,
from color.
Snoop did an interview, and was very critical of blacks supporting Trump. So what has changed?
Well, I want to know, along those lines, you remember in 2017, black girl, black singer, Chrisette Michelle, has still not really been welcomed back to the cookout.
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
Why? It's
mm-mm,
because she's a woman.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where's the smoke for these guys? I want to see that same energy for these guys that Chrisette Michelle got in 2017. Because we just feeding into the misogyny, the stereotypical stuff that black men are accused of on a
Mhm,
regular
mhm,
basis.
mhm.
And so Chris says he might have them on the Diddy tapes. Maybe that's what it is.
Chris,
Could
hilarious.
be.
Could
But
be,
the
could
other
be.
it could be. The other thing, Nelly thought he was sounding intelligent too. In another part of that interview, where he was saying, Biden had the crime bill. Biden said you ain't black if you didn't vote for Trump, and Willie was pushing back, saying, well, Trump called out, still calls for the execution of the exonerated five.
Thank you.
Trump still uh, pushed this. DEI is gone, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Affirmative action is gone. He put three racist people on the Supreme Court that black folks and people of color are going to have to suffer for decades.
mhm.
For decades.
Still wanted to shoot peaceful protesters after the George Floyd killing
He still,
in the knees.
but the thing with Nelly, he kept saying Biden wasn't Trump wasn't the guy who said, let's go to that comment again that everyone hated, that Biden said he misspoke. He shouldn't have said anyway when he said you ain't black if you don't vote for me. If you vote for Trump, you ain't black. Well, put that in the proper perspective.
Context. Exactly.
We all know what Biden was saying,
Exactly. Exactly.
and how many black people said the same thing. And the message simply was, this guy, not only does he not have black people's interests in mind, but he's looking to take you back to Jim Crow or beyond. That was really, and Biden, this is why Democrats lose. They don't know how to just say, hey, in your face, this is what it means.
Yeah.
And in your face, this is what it means.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
you guys are messing around with this supremacist that you guys say is a white supremacist. And you're going to put him in office. You're
Mhm,
going to put him in charge. And then you're going to do it a second time.
mhm.
You're going to do it a second time. And this guy has set up this Department of Government something Dodge or whatever you want to call it. Which, by the way, Vivek Ramaswamy finally topped Craig from Friday. Remember, Craig got fired on his day off. Vivek got fired before the day one. He got fired.
All of
He's
a sudden,
not even-
all of a sudden he's running for governor
right.
of Ohio.
Right. Absolutely. But the thing about with Melly, he kept saying that this stuff about Biden. But here's the reality of that situation. And Willie pointed out, I don't know Willie's whole name or whatever, and I'm only calling him Willie because Orange E says his name is Willie. But the thing about it is, okay, yes, Biden authored that crime bill. It was bipartisan. Let's never forget that was a bipartisan thing that black ministers supported,
And the
right?
Congressional Black Caucus.
And the Congressional Black Caucus. But here's the thing: Biden had his moment. There were times you looked at Biden from the 70s, from the 80s, and this guy's seemingly a bit racist, right? But then you saw a transformation, which is what you would want, which is what Martin Luther King would have wanted, right?
Absolutely.
This is what Martin Luther King preached about, right? You saw a transformation. This guy comes in, he serves under a black president, right? And then as president, what did he do for HBCUs? Black institutions, right? Poured a record amount of money into HBCUs. Black vice president, black woman vice president, first black woman on the Supreme Court. We
On
can
the
go
Supreme Court,
on
exactly.
and on and on. You saw a guy who tried to rectify his wrongs. You see Trump getting progressively worse. Yes, you had the 70s where he and his father locked black people out, discriminated against black people. Then in the 80s, the Central Park Five, the Exonerated Five, he called for the death penalty. Later on, more recently, even though they were exonerated, he's still calling for the death penalty. He has said he wants to put sick American soldiers on a certain populace. Who do you think that is? Who do you think that certain populace is? While at the same time, when today at noon, he's going to use a Trump Bible to get sworn in the very spot that he sicked all of those insurrectionists on American democracy, seeking to kill his vice president, seeking to kill Nancy Pelosi as well. And you okay with this? You don't have to be political Nelly. You don't have to be political Snoop.
Just have common sense.
Have common sense and have some sort of dignity. Have some sort of dignity.
Turnbull, please the people.
Some dignity. Trying to defend the indefensible is what that is. What did Trump mean? Miss Perry's watching. Good morning. She says, what did Trump mean by now you'll have your freedoms back? What freedoms are those and who was he speaking to?
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Austin, today, and let me just size it up this way, what's happening today, because America is marking more important than this inauguration, this farce of an inauguration, and everything. You notice everything too is taking place. And somebody else pointed this out under the cover of darkness, right? They have moved the inauguration inside. They have everything they've done has this tail over it, like secrecy, or if not secrecy, it's some sort of grift. The Melania Trump coins, right? I read somewhere this morning, $30 million they pretty much built people out of. But today, as we have a federal holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, it prepares us for Donald Trump's inauguration. It's juxtaposes the legacy of the civil rights and King against the tenure of a president who has frequently harnessed divisiveness as a political tool. King advocated for unity and equality. Trump, of course, as we pointed out, Austin, highlights often and exacerbates racial divides. And folks forget, here's what Donald Trump said in a 1989 interview with NBC News. He made a statement that went like this, quote, I'm going to quote him. He says, I think sometimes a black, first of all, a black what?
Yeah.
He says sometimes a black. And anytime somebody says a black,
Black.
you remember he said the blacks.
Like an object, like we're objects and not humans.
How racist is that? And you want to talk about Biden saying if you're not black, I mean, if you're black, you know, whatever. But he said, I think sometimes a black may think they don't have an advantage or this and that. This is an exact quote. He says, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage. This is what Donald Trump said in 1989.
Never heard that quote.
And rappers and entertainers, black entertainers and black rappers, they were still embracing him at that time. They made songs and included him in songs. But these comments, they fundamentally, Austin, misrepresent or misunderstand, if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, the pervasive barriers that continue to challenge Black people. His rhetoric and his decisions, of course, that aggressive campaign against the Central Park Five, the exonerated five, have not only fueled his image as a divisive figure, but also it solidified his standing among supporters who share or endorse his racist sentiments. People could say, Austin, that, oh, he proved Donald Trump is a racist. He's not a racist. Well, I'll tell you what, if he's not a racist, let's say he's not a racist. His supporters are.
Yeah.
He surrounds himself with racists.
Racist.
I mean, come on. The supporters. I got off the train in Union Station on Saturday morning, and flanked with MAGA.
That's right.
And I mean, it was just. I felt like I entered into like
A Klan rally.
Germany in 1933. It was unreal. It is unreal what you're seeing in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital today. It's unreal. It's you might as well put on the sheets.
You know, I was thinking last evening, you know, I was in and out of sleep. Let me see this. Yeah, there they are. And many are lined up to get into the Capitol. You know, we knew that Trump was going to be the president-elect, return as the 47th president on election results on November 5th. In fact, you know, we knew. I had a funny feeling at 9:05 when the initial polls were not going in our direction. I said, my God, he's done it again. But it was always, you know, a couple of months away, a couple of weeks away, a couple of days away, you know, next weekend, you know, and now it's upon us. And I just have a very uneasy feeling as the clock ticks towards the swearing in, because we know what's going to happen. You know, before in January 20th, 2017, we didn't know. We had, you know, some of us, you know, politically perceptive like you and Denise and others and Greer, you know, had an idea. I remember writing a piece on Trump after his first election, saying that let's hope. I was hopeful that a lot of the rhetoric that we heard was just political rhetoric, nonsense, just to get elected. And that once he got in and assumed the awesome burdens of the presidency, he would change. And the first call I got was I used to send all of my articles to my late Aunt Vivian in California. And for the first time, we kind of got into an argument. And she said, it's going to be worse than we thought. And I kept on pushing back and saying, how do you know? Politicians do everything they can to get elected. But once he gets in and is a member of that president's club, and again, had the responsibility. And I was wrong. My late Aunt Vivian was right. And so now, 8, 9 years later, I'm just prepared for the worst. What the speech he gave last night, and I listened to most of it last night at the Capitol Arena, there's not going to be much difference in his inaugural speech. Very,
No, it's not.
very downward looking, critical of the Bidens, critical of the Obamas. He may not mention them by name, but what does make the phrase "Make America Great Again"?
And that is really from day one in 2016, when he 2015, really when he announced his campaign and used that. And everyone with a half a brain knew exactly what that meant. And he showed, and no one talks about Project 2025 all of a sudden. Why?
No,
because that's
yep.
It's all been implemented.
No more. Remember how Trump said he didn't know much about it and he was not familiar with the authors or some of the content. Now we're about to see when it's implemented. I remember in 1980 when Ronald Reagan. You remember where he launched his political campaign for president of the United States, Philadelphia, Mississippi, where the 3 civil rights workers' bodies were found. That set the tone.
And listen, the guy, I've never seen someone so angry in victory. And he's made some comments. You mentioned the speech yesterday. And even in that speech, he insinuated, oddly enough, that he actually stole this election. It was so odd. And he said Elon was in Pennsylvania. He sent them there. He stayed there a couple of months. They did something with the computers, and I'm thinking, okay, so he's telling on himself. He's actually telling you, and this is what you can expect because he has complete immunity, and any federal crime that his people might commit, they can do it carte blanche because he will pardon immediately. And they will always use Joe Biden and Biden's son,
Hunter,
which I don't care who you are, people can stop the nonsense. He should have pardoned his son. I said it months ago, long before when he was saying he wasn't. Come on, that's his son. He's got to pardon him based on the fact that this was a political prosecution, and B, his son just had some issues. And I want to, and Greer, I was going to mention that too. Just how low, when you think, you hear that expression that this person or that has no bottom. Well, Representative Byron Donalds has absolutely no bottom. Are you going to play that? Please play that and listen carefully.
That we were asking for. Daddy's back. So that's what you're going to see. So you just
Daddy's back.
the numbers. This it's not just going to be that. I mean, when Americans
this N-word, this this guy dressed in blackface with a clown face, toe tapping and doing the jigaboo, whatever you want to call it. Oh my gosh, what the heck is that?
And I read over the weekend that he's thinking of running for governor of Florida in 2 years when DeSantis steps down. So he's already looking down the road. Once he realized that he was not getting a position of significance, any position, significant, non-significant, internship, he's gotten nothing. For all of his tap dancing he did throughout the campaign, Byron Donalds has gotten nothing.
Daddy's back? Austin.
The numbers, he'll figure a way to do it.
It's not just going to be that. I mean, when Americans see deportations or repatriations happen, they're going to be like, thank you. When they see the border closed, they're going to say, this is what I voted for. When they see peace starting to like break out again around the world, they're going to be like, this is the stability that we were asking for. Daddy's back. And that's what you're going to see.
So you just
Every time I've heard that and saw that, you talk about the disdain. I mean, look, very apolitical, but unlike, you know, many others, I was like, this is what y'all do. But Daddy's back. This Negro, this Austin, help me out here. Oh my God.
I'm from my home state of Florida. You know, and this whole these comments of Republicans about you know, there being, you know, peace around the world. I mean, there will always be global conflicts. That's not going to change from one administration to the not or not. You remember in 1980, one of the reasons that Jimmy Carter lost was, inflation, gas prices, the perception of being a weak president, but also those hostages being held. And despite his best efforts, they were not released until just after noon on January 20th, 1981, once it was official that Reagan was indeed the president of the United States. I would not be surprised, and I have no proof of this, but it just seems odd that the same you know, peace deal, ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, that was, from what I understand, had basically been on the table since last May. All of a sudden, you know, there is a deal that is reached a couple of days, 72 hours, 48 hours before Trump returned to the White House. It was proven then that the Reagan operatives, Bill Casey, his CIA directors, were having secret negotiations behind the scenes with the Ayatollah, where they did not want there to be an October 1980 surprise, the October surprise. I would not be surprised if it comes out that there was some shenanigans between Benjamin Netanyahu and the Trump campaign to delay the release of these hostages, or begin the process of releasing the hostages.
Yeah. Well, what I question? Take TikTok. TikTok is
TikTok.
That what a scam! What a scam! And then they put out this release. First of all, the owner meets with Trump. They put out this statement that, oh, Donald Trump, they credit him for saving TikTok. He's the one that was dismantling it.
Thank you.
What is happening here is, folks, if you haven't figured it out, they have now taken control over social media, the algorithms and everything else. They have taken, and that's why you see what we see on that disaster dumpster fire called X, formerly known as Twitter. That's why you see what you see on Facebook and Instagram now. They have taken over. They promote, and they'll tell us that your numbers are this or that. You have no idea what your numbers are. We get people. I can go in DC, Manhattan, and folks say, "Oh, I see you on that thing in the morning." What thing? And they give me all these slogans. I say, let it be known. Yeah, but we get these very interesting numbers from these social media platforms, but it's been AOC spelled it out. She was saying just the other day that you can't believe, even her, who has millions of followers, she'll put up a post. They say only 2 people saw the post.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yep.
But they've controlled it. She said that you put all the social media in the hands of Trump's people, and that's what you have. TikTok.
Oh, I say it, I say it again. You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked. Bamboozled.
I'm gonna tell you one thing.
Led astray.
Yeah, and Mike V, I agree, Mike V. There's no way Trump would have brought Brittany Griner home. but I have now been convinced after Saturday that I now know who the smartest man in America is, period, hands down. You know who that is?
Who?
None other than Dave Chappelle. Dave
Yeah,
Chappelle is the
brilliant.
smartest man in America.
Yep.
Did you see his piece, his stand-up to open up Saturday Night Live?
I did.
The
Love
man is absolutely brilliant. I
Mhm.
mean, he's not infallible, like everybody else. He has his shortcomings. He has his prejudices, but the man is absolutely brilliant. And I thought about you too because of how much he paid homage to President Carter.
Carter, yeah. I was pleasantly surprised, and that was so deserving for him to pay tribute to him the way he did at the end. And even at the end, when he made that direct appeal to the
Number
humanity,
47.
humanity, if there is, which I don't believe there is, of Donald Trump. Nice to do, but I don't believe it's going to make any difference with Donald Trump.
Oh, and Chappelle knows that.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, but it was a good thing to do, nonetheless.
It really, right. It was without name calling,
Mhm.
without
No insults. He didn't insult
insults.
him. Nope.
It was done so brilliantly. And I mean, it was funny, some of it. For instance, Lauren Michaels calling him for 6 months, trying to get him to do something after the election, and then January 6th, and so I mean,
And you
it was
remember,
absolutely.
he opened the show, I guess the Saturday after, I don't know if the first inauguration of Trump or after the election. But I remember one of the funny lines was, I don't know what kind of president he's going to be, but I do know he has some nice hotels. But stuff, so yeah, he has a way of weaving in politics and a comedy way, but still you get his underlying message. And
Get the
not
message.
Years
not
ago,
many
after I quit my show, I was trying to find out what I wanted to do with my life. While I was there, Jimmy Carter flew to Israel. So everybody in the region was talking about a former American president being in the Middle East. And while he was in Israel, a book of his was released, and its title was very controversial in Israel. And the title of the book was Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. And people were very mad in Israel. There was a lot of mean stories that came out in the paper, but some people were supportive. And while he was there, Jimmy Carter said, I want to go to the Palestinian territory. And the Israeli government said it's too dangerous. And if you go, we cannot protect you. And man, Jimmy Carter went anyway. I will never forget the images of a former American president walking with little to no security while thousands of Palestinians were cheering him on. And when I saw that picture, it brought tears to my eyes. I said, I don't know if that's a good president, but that right there, I am sure is a great man. It made me feel very proud.
And that's, what I refer to as being presidential. Something
The
that
presidency is no place for petty people. So Donald Trump, I know you watch the show.
no place for
Man,
petty people.
remember, whether people voted for you or not, they're all counting on you. Whether they like you or not, they're all counting on you. The whole world is counting on you. I mean this when I say this. Good luck. Please do better next time. Please, all of us, do better next time. Do not forget your humanity, and please have empathy for displaced people, whether they're in the Palisades or Palestine. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant. It was like a 16.5-minute monologue. It was every second was worth tuning into. It was totally brilliant. That's really, we could leave it there. But
If I could just tie in
go ahead.
Dr. King briefly, because I
Yeah,
thought about when I was watching Chappelle. I didn't see it live. I saw it yesterday morning. Another display of presidential leadership aspirations was Bobby Kennedy on the evening of April 4th, 1968, when he boarded a plane in Gary, Indiana, and had a rally before a black crowd in Indianapolis. When he boarded the plane, he learned that Dr. King had been shot. When he landed 20, 30 minutes later, the police chief met him at the airport and came on board and said, Dr. King is dead. We don't think you should go to this rally. We don't have, once they find out that he's been assassinated, there's going to be rioting, and we don't have the manpower, the police power to protect you. And he insisted on going. And he went and stood on top of a flatbed and announced to the to the crowd that Dr. King had indeed been assassinated. But he calmed them down. And Indianapolis was one of the few cities in the United States that did not erupt in rioting, that looting that evening. And at the park where he gave that speech in Indianapolis, there is a statue of Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, their hands, embracing one another. And to this day, it's a reminder of how he, the difference he made in that city on one of the most impactful nights in American history.
Well, while some parts of the country engage in acts of service to honor Dr. King, others will simultaneously celebrate a figure who represents the opposite of King and everything King fought for. And this includes those states that are choosing today to honor Confederate leader Robert Lee and raise that Confederate flag once more. And for many Black Americans, today does not symbolize that beacon of hope that Dr. King really pushed for us to have, for everyone to have. But it's just a reminder that this ongoing struggle against a resurgence of overt racism. That resurgence has come under none other than Donald J. Trump and the systemic injustice and the idea that DE&I somehow, we can talk a lot about DEI the other way, can't we?
Thank you.
Ways that they don't like to talk about.
Mediocre white men, mediocre white women.
Right. Who get jobs simply because they're white. Who get certain promotions and positions, etc., because they're white.
And watch during his inaugural address, I bet you in a few hours, Trump ties in, he's going to bring up the legacy of Dr. King, and he's going to try and tie it in to his warped vision of America. Watch.
And that is why you have so many people up in arms with the Snoop Dogs and the Nellies and the Rick Rosses of the world, because they got to understand that there is a bigger picture, a much bigger picture. And in this case now, a very dire picture. See, you have the Snoop Dogs, the Rick Rosses, they flaunt their cash, especially Rick Ross, what they have. With the absence of thinking, how many people who look like you don't have anything? They don't have anything. And what the little that they have, this administration is eagerly seeking to take it away from them. And that's just the bottom line. Now, you were happy over the weekend too because of the pardon of Marcus Garvey. I liked Sam P.K. Collins tweeted something so important, I thought, as Sam would. And he is a huge what is it, Garveyite?
Garveyite, yep.
But he talked about a pardon being very much different from an exoneration. And that's what Sam wanted. Sam wanted an exoneration of Marcus Garvey. As he put it, the pardon just means that, okay, you committed this crime and we forgive you for it. When you think about it, there was no need for forgiveness. There's just a need for them to recognize Biden could have made a statement recognizing that this man, this was all about racism. Garvey's conviction was all about racism.
No, absolutely. But I would, I certainly understand and respect and even agree with Sam PK's comments on Garvey. But I'm still nonetheless happy that Biden did this. Obama didn't.
Nobody else did.
Obama didn't do it. And if anybody,
Yeah.
you would have thought that President Obama would have, for whatever reason, he did not see fit to do it. So I'm happy with what Biden did.
Yeah, and also, as you informed me early this morning, that Biden has given preemptive pardons to Dr. Fauci, the January 6th committee, which he should have, Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson, etc. But again, the glaring oversight, the glaring ignorance of Marilyn Mosby, the fact that they have left her out there is a crime.
No excuse.
It's criminal. And I feel, and I don't know whether or not the vice president pushed at all for Marilyn Mosby, but that would bother me to think that she would not have at least made a plea for Marilyn Mosby. But more importantly, and more pointedly, Joe Biden, I know that the NAACP, the Urban League, Ben Crump, and so many others, Al Sharpton, really pushed Biden for this pardon of Marilyn Mosby, not to forget her. And apparently he has done that. He's forgotten
And I
Marilyn
wonder,
Mosby.
I can't. I'm just wondering why. I mean, what would it have taken for him to add her to the list of those pardon? He was certainly not going to take any more incoming for pardoning her than he has and will continue to receive for pardoning Hunter, who I believe, again, any father or mother
No
would
question.
pardon. I'm not aware that Richard Nixon was Gerald Ford's son, or they were related in any manner. So this very very disappointing.
Yeah, and Charles Martin, this is not the day. This is not the day for that type of racist rhetoric. What crime did Benny Thompson commit? What crime did the January 6th committee commit? What crime did Dr. Fauci commit? It's just nonsense. It is not the day for it. I mean, come on. Dr. Fauci was put in a very unenviable position of a guy who told you to drink bleach, and a guy who ignored the fact that thousands upon thousands of Americans were dying every single day, and ignoring that, and really just failed not just Black people, but all people in a very egregious way. And had this guy who wants to be and is essentially going to be a dictator, had he been in a third world country as a dictator, he himself would have been taken out. Point blank.
And never.
He'd had the same outcome as a Gaddafi did, as a Saddam Hussein did. What he did, the crimes Donald Trump committed during COVID is inexcusable and unforgettable.
No, it's never in the history of the Republic has a public health official with such a distinguished career, Republican or Democrat, needed Secret Service protection, and doesn't get Secret Service protection now, but had to pay for his own private security detail because of Trump nuts during at the height of COVID.
Yeah, I try to understand Charles Martin. that this is a person, Charles Martin is a person who grew up with and around nothing but Black folks and Latino folks. And I try to understand people like that who can be so for someone who is, and your politics are your politics, but to be so much of a Kool-Aid drinker for someone who absolutely has shown disdain and hate for marginalized. It's like Byron Donalds. And so I try to understand because I don't understand and I can't comprehend Byron Donalds calling Donald Trump his daddy. I can't comprehend a man calling another. I can't comprehend a man. This is why, you know, I've had the privilege of knowing and being around people like Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, working with Stevie Wonder for 6 years, 8 years almost, on a project. Smokey Robinson. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Got a chance to meet and talk with Denzel Washington, and I had friends and family say, well, get an autograph from me, and that was against me. They are human beings. I will never understand a man worshiping another man. I will never understand that. And to the point where you are willing to sacrifice the people that cared about you, grew up with you, because of your political views that don't align at all with the well-being of the people who you professed to be close with, you profess to love. I will never understand it. I don't care what your reasons are, who hurt you, who abused you. It's just insane. And I'm not here to tell you that one politician is better than the other. That's your decision, and you made your decision. That's fine. But to continue to espouse or give out the and repeat and regurgitate these lies, it's just that hurts people who you claim to care about. What kind of person are you? What type of individual are you? If those are your views, keep them to yourself or people who think like you, because you hurt those you claim to care about the most. So tell your story walking. That's what you should do. We have no time to suffer fools. Things have changed. Today is a new world. It's a new world, Austin.
No, I'm sitting here listening, smiling because I think I have to mention to you, certainly in Greer privately and certainly on the show before, I have some folks who I consider to be, friends who are adamant, Trump supporters. Some who I think are very, extremely smart, and some who I don't think could spell Trump on a good day. But still, I consider them to be friends. And a few have, for example, unfriended me on Facebook because of my posts. I have yet to unfriend anybody because of their political views. I just keep scrolling and choose to ignore. Sometimes I'll stop and it's interesting to read, the comments without me commenting per se. But I try to, understand where they're coming from. I look at them and I say to myself, the same way they think that I'm nuts for supporting Biden and Hillary and Obama, the same way they think I'm, it just, the reverse applies. The way I'm looking at them for supporting Trump is the same way they're looking at me for being crazy. But I still try to, and what you were getting at, Stacey, what makes you tick like this? How can you not see the difference here?
Right. Right.
I don't believe, I've never been a believer that I've been a lifelong Democrat. I've never said that there should not, for example, be blacks in the Republican Party or the Independent Party. One of the greatest black senators to me was Edward Brooke, black Republican out of Massachusetts. So I think there was a place for blacks in the Republican Party. I have a good relationship, for example, with Michael Steele. Kind of understand why he became a Republican, but don't really understand why he became a Republican. But you can have a civil conversation.
He's not radical.
He's not radical. With I understand people, voting for Biden. I can understand people who voted for Reagan, who I think's policies were not taken into account a view of Black America that was favorable to us. I get that. It's with this particular former Democrat, now Republican, who is so outright racist and disgusting in his behavior, and how he, if your child, Stacey, one of your children when they were young, came home mocking a disabled person,
Yeah,
you would get on them.
without question. Without question. The other day, Friday to be specific, I was with somebody who I admire. I've always admired as a kid. He's a accomplished actor. He used to actually box years ago. He boxed at Madison Square Garden, and turned into a great actor. He was in some great films with Andy Garcia and others. And we had this conversation, and I learned that he likes Donald Trump. And he explained to me why. But he also did not go along with everything. He also understood why he's become this dangerous guy. And yet there's a lot of things that he articulated, which we've been talking about this on this show for a while now. We could not find folks when Greer and I was out talking to people, Trump supporters. We couldn't find any of them to articulate a policy or anything as to why you would support this guy. My good friend on Friday was able to articulate that he believed that Donald Trump could actually do something different than what we are used to seeing. And that is what he's talking about, the tax codes. And he's saying, he's supposed to follow the law. He didn't show his taxes. That's wrong. But he had a reason for understanding. And it was very logical. I didn't agree, but it was logical. I have not found that with Trump supporters as a whole. I've not found that with any, and I can't call him a Trump supporter, but somebody who doesn't have as much of a problem with Trump as many others do. Now, Charles Martin, on the other hand, when you can't see something wrong in an individual, then you have a problem. You can have a brother, a sister, cousin, a wife, a husband. There is going to be something wrong with that person. That person is not perfect. But people like Charles Martin will tell you that Trump is perfect. And that's why he tries to take on this Jesus Christ-like persona, because he has these sycophants who will bend over and over and over and over again for him, regardless of what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And Byron Donalds talked about the deportations, and he talked about it very, very proudly. That's another thing that doesn't resonate in my head, to hear and watch a Black man proudly talk about kicking people out of the country. That's really, and he's going to start that immediately.
Yeah.
I think we got, we didn't have any audio there. April Ryan on MSNBC. April Ryan, if you have not heard,
Great news.
is the new Washington bureau chief and senior White House correspondent for the Black Press of America, for Black Press USA. So we welcome April to the fold. It's a very big deal for Dr. Chavis and NMPA publishers to have an accomplished journalist like April join the Black Press of America. You know, in 2 years, the Black Press of America will be celebrating its 200th anniversary. So adding someone of April's caliber
Absolutely.
really will, really will help us to,
Absolutely.
forge toward that 200th with some oomph, if you will. So we welcome April to Black Press USA and the National Newspaper Publishers Association. And you, or I mean, well, yes. So she said, yeah. I'm good. I'm saying 3 things at once. I was going to say Austin has worked with her, but you haven't really worked with her, but you know her.
I met her a few times, but I certainly know of her, and I'm a big fan of April. So welcome aboard. Welcome to
Yeah, she took.
said,
We've talked.
she's coming
I'm
home.
sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, we talked a lot over the weekend, and she said one of the things she said to me, and she said to others too, I guess. She says she's come home, and it's always beautiful to hear that, Austin, from folks who started in the Black Press, or at least started by reading the Black Press, and to come and say, you know, this is home.
Yeah, and let's not forget the disrespect that the incoming disrespect that she took in the White House briefing room from President Trump. The fact that Greer had it there. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, it's so interesting because one of the things, and I was laughing because her and I and Greer picked up our new hard passes over the last few days, and one of the things that she warned me about, she says, "Oh, you're going to get your pass?" He says, "It's ugly." It is. It's ugly. It's this purple thing that they gave us. It's not within reach, but I was going to show you guys. But oh my gosh, who would they come up with this? Who did that? Yep. The new administration, of course.
It's going to officially begin, Stacy, in less than 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Totally Randy is in Washington, D.C. She's going to be on the ground covering some things in and around the inauguration. She flew in from Texas, and we certainly glad to have her. And I know she's going to be doing some stuff, and the former and Misha Green
parade the other day, and she was saying how her plane up from Houston was filled with MAGA fans.
You should have told her that she feel at home. She's coming from Texas. She's coming from Abbott's country. But no, totally Randy will say, no, I'm coming from Beyonce country. She's a Beyonce girl. I mean, she's the leader of the Bayhive, in her mind anyway, I'm sure. But folks, it is a busy day. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and there will be some activities. The Reverend Al Sharpton has a march planned. Dr. William Barber has some plans today as well, and several other groups have some things going on. I know that King III, is it King III?
Martin III. Yep.
Martin III. He had been doing some things all week in and around Washington and other areas, working in soup kitchens. You know, the day of service thing resonates deeply, obviously, in the King family. He and his wife, Andrea Waters King, they have been at the forefront of doing day of service and doing what Dr. King had had led and had inspired. And so we'll see a lot of that today.
Have you been on
Sharpton,
the show? Had Martin ever been on the show, Stacy?
gosh, we had Martin III on with his wife maybe 2 years ago.
Okay. You know,
Also,
he's come out with a book, so you may want to, you and Greer may want to think about bringing him back to talk about that. I just learned about the book on Saturday at the King Parade.
well, I don't like talking about books.
Talk about the content in the book.
Wait a minute. So Mark Mahoney is informing us that he's in the hospital. I did not. He says, I'm still in the hospital. Mark, I don't know what's wrong with you. I didn't know you were in the hospital. Mark Mahoney is a distinguished photographer, dream in color photography, and of course, an NMPA photographer. Did not know. And we certainly hope that whatever it is that you are recovering and that we will see your 7-foot frame sometime soon. He lost all that weight. Maybe that's what's wrong with you. You shouldn't have lost all that weight. He dropped like 100 and something pounds, trying to embarrass everybody.
Wow.
Trying to be Mr. America or something. I don't know who he thinks he is. But now he's in the hospital. But we wish you the best, Mark, for
Did you watch
sure.
the
And
game, Stacy?
say it one more time.
Did you watch the Commanders Lions the other night?
I did. and all of the DMV. That's the other thing. This is the thing that really messes up this MAGA weekend, or this MAGA day, I should say, really messed up what has been a celebratory weekend, a cold weekend in the DMV, but a very, very the Commanders in 1 year they got rid of the cancer that was that former ownership under Daniel Snyder. And people felt, I mean, they were 4-13 or whatever the year before, and it felt, okay, that's the first step. You make incremental progress. Wow, they are in the NFC Championship game a year later. It's amazing what good culture will do for a franchise. It's amazing what good culture would do for Black folks in general. So that might be a note for all of us, Austin.
Amen. Agreed.
Just cleanse the culture of these folks who do everything against the culture.
Yep. And watch folks shine.
And watch them shine. That's the problem. That's the problem you have with some of these folks. They don't want nobody else to shine. But that's a whole nother show, right?
Absolutely.
But there's going to be a lot going on today. We may jump in a few times throughout the day with some information for you guys that pertains to us, that affects us, that we could talk about. So stay tuned to Let It Be Known. And Austin, it's always good, and you're always trying to represent that sorority or fraternity of yours.
I know you didn't go there. I know you really
always trying to represent them.
Stacy, fraternity, the number one fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated.
The number one.
Number one.
What makes it the number one?
You know, Martin Luther King was an Alpha. Let me see here. MSNBC is just breaking news that Christ himself was an Alpha. That's another show. First of all, service of all, we shall transcend all. I can go on.
This is terrible. This is just terrible this morning. How could you say something like that? And MSNBC would report something like that, though. I mean, it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched. This is what you get. That's why you got to watch the black press and not mainstream media. So, folks, we're getting stronger. Stay with us. We'll see you soon on Let It Be Known. Thanks for watching.